Man, what is up, my wonderful people? I'm coming at you from the hot, the humid LA. Man, listen, it's like 91 degrees right now. I'm going through it. But I hope you guys are having a great summer. A few days ago, we were covering the Stephen Stern situation on a live stream, and we were going through each one of his friends. Each friend seems to have an increasingly weird story about Stephen Stearns that makes you really scratch your head like, how did no one really find out about this guy? But anyways, folks, we're gonna go ahead and tap you in with one of the friends and just hear what he has to say. And I mean, it's a mouthful. And I will point out, even his friends, some of them seem a little creepy. Just saying. But anyways, let's get into this thing. So, Fuenki and Stefan meet because they both smoke pot. Okay.
I was like, oh, okay. I could have someone to, smoke a joint with and play some tabletop game. And after that, he was at my house, religiously, I would say every weekend, He was always coming over. He's met my kids, met my wife. He's been to my, my house multiple times.
Lord.
And, I would have never expected, I never noticed a sign, but, he was always a quirky guy, but, it's a nerdy game, so I just figured he was a nerd,
So when you think,
See, and this is when nerd meets psycho because they all kind of fly under that same little wing. Yeah, I like anime. Yeah, I watch a little hentai. Oh yeah, I like tabletop games. Yeah, but I have a little bit of a creep within me also. They kind of just exist between that nerdy, quirky space. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
back when he was coming over to your house, did you ever see him act a little strange with your kids now in hindsight?
No, not once. Not once, but also my kids are boys, and they're the ages of, 3, and when he first met Johnny, 5, and my other son was just born, so, no, I didn't get that vibe from him.
Okay, so maybe they were outside of his range anyways.
Yeah, it seemed to me like he liked teenage girls.
Oh Lord.
Especially after hearing the interview with his other friend, it seemed he liked 12 to 14, 15-year-old girls.
He on that R. Kelly
Well, the
vibe.
thing is he
on that R. Kelly tip right there. He's like, yeah, I only fuck with pre-adolescent females, dog. Like, I don't really do the grown-ups and shit. That's not really my speed. You feel me? Jesus Christ. I think people like this, they end up like this. Wait, let me take that back. Shit, I don't even know. What do you guys think? Do you think people end up like this or they were always like this? Sometimes I feel like people end up like this because there's no way you're that fucked as you come out as a child. Something had to happen to them. Or maybe you are. Maybe you are just that fucked. But it's like, how do you, there's even a show on Netflix. They're like, I think it was To Make a Murderer. A lot of you guys have probably seen that. But it's like, do you make a murderer or is one just existing already? You know? Because how do you develop that? Let's continue. Look at those eyes, no soul. Jesus. It's like, I only start to notice females when they're of a certain age, or else it's like they're blank to me. It's like a I don't notice. So what makes you notice? Ugh. Like I like ass. I like a developed body. I like some titties. Titties are cool, but I like some ass, bro. Maybe it's because I'm black, but I'm an ass guy. I mean, I'm looking for body. Like you ain't gonna find none of that shit on no fucking 12-year-old. What the fuck is going? Like, what is you? That shit is just unhinged. Anyways, let me continue.
he had pictures on his phone of CSAM material with Madeline at the age of I think 9 or 10.
Really? Is that confirmed that it was her?
Yeah. It said it. Well, it did. They didn't put the name on it, but you could tell that's what they
It was the
referred
house.
to.
Yeah, it was the house. So that's what I figured.
Yeah.
So, no, I
Shit's
didn't.
weird.
I didn't get that weird vibe from him. Honestly, he was. he was pretty normal around my house. I mean, he definitely had an Adderall addiction, you know. He didn't eat much, that I remember, and, you know, he stayed up all night. He would wake up, like, way later than, like, 4:30, 5 o'clock every day. So...
What was he doing? Just
jacking off?
Who the hell knows? I mean, he woke up 4:30, 5 o'clock. He didn't have a job. I always thought that was weird, that he didn't work, but he had money to buy all these, like, pretty expensive RPG games.
Well, he said he worked over at Disney in some of those Reddit posts.
Yeah, but that was like, when I first met him, he wasn't working at all.
Okay, that was 3 years ago? That was 3 years ago?
Yeah, when I first met him, he didn't work that whole time until he went to Kissimmee, moved in with Jenn, and they got back together because they had split up at one point, and then he moved back into his parents. I always thought that was weird, that he lived at his parents, woke up whenever he wanted, but had money to buy these expensive Warhammer stuff. I was like, this doesn't add up. His parents giving him money? I didn't really know.
Maybe.
Yeah, so can you tell me the situation with, you know, when they call each other girlfriend and then
they're not.
stepfather?
They are not. That's what I'm confused about, is why. I don't know who said that they were together, but that's not true because they've been broken up within like 6 months of him moving there. So, like, within 6 months of him moving there and working at Disney, they were broken up.
So
that's
what
why
happened?
he moved back to his parents in Northport, because that's where he's been living for the past couple
Okay,
months.
so maybe you can help clarify that and explain that a little bit better. So he did work at Disney after you guys met, though, right?
Yeah, he worked at Disney. He moved to back there, like a year and a couple months. I can't say an exact, number on that, but that's when he did move back. And then within a short period of time, they were split up again, and he was staying in supposedly a spare bedroom.
Okay, so maybe you can give us the timeline. Like when you met him like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And was he dating Jenn at that
No,
time?
they were split up at that point.
Okay, so he's known her for many years. Like I think he said 6 years.
Yeah, he's known her for a decent amount of time.
And it seems like, though, even on his Reddit post, he referred to Madeline as his stepdaughter.
Yes, he did.
So they must have considered each other like, husband and wife when they were living together, how they referred to each other. But then later on, it was boyfriend. And it's strange because she allowed him to, the mother allowed him to come back to give her a ride to school for some reason.
Well, yeah, he was like, okay, this one didn't make sense to me either. Like, there's something like when we hung out 2 weekends or a weekend before this all transpired. I introduced him to a couple friends. My friends liked him. He was on the outside a normal person, and like a very giving person. Like you wouldn't think this if you like met him. But if out of this was take this whole thing out of the conclusion, you wouldn't think so. You just think the guy had a social problem, and he was a nerd, and he kept to himself.
So it was kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing, basically.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, he said, I don't know where he's moving back there, but like what he said, like that weekend, he said something. Yeah, he mostly felt bad about the breakup because of Madeline, because they created a strong bond. So I really don't know about, he wanted to go back there. He was supposed to go there that weekend that we hung out, but didn't. He went the following weekend, I guess.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is now we know that there was material on his phone from both of them, and now you wonder if he was really wanting to get back there to make sure she wasn't telling her mom something.
Yeah, either that or, I've been at an assumption that she might have been pregnant or something, and she didn't want to keep the child.
Yeah.
Or wanted to keep the child.
Well, that was one of my theories a couple nights ago. I was thinking, if she was pregnant, he probably felt desperate and had no escape because she either would have to get rid of, have an abortion, and then people would ask, how come she's pregnant? I mean, there's really no out for him because she would then have to explain how she got pregnant.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he probably could have felt trapped. Now, I don't know if that's true at all. That was just a theory.
Yeah, that's just a theory in my mind, too. And also, the way the mom's acting, her feelings don't seem genuine. Like, it doesn't look like a mom freaking out, I'll tell you that much.
Have you met her before?
I only met her one time, and that was on a FaceTime.
And how was she then?
She seemed pretty normal, I mean, personally, I know, since Stephans told me, she takes a lot of medication for a lot of mental health things, so.
She looks like a mental health.
Has some mental issues, too, so maybe the way she's acting on TV when you see her is just a result of that.
Yeah, but that could be true, but I don't know why he stayed there, why they were split up. That always seemed awkward to me. Like, why would you want to stay in the house with someone you're no longer in a relationship with?
Okay, so maybe you guys met 3 years ago, and he lived where, and where were you living at the time?
Oh, I lived at my house. I own a house.
Well, what town? I mean, most of us aren't from Florida, so just maybe a town.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I lived in Port Charlotte. He lived in Northport at his parents.
Okay, and then would he break up and get back together again with Jenn during this time?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then at some point they were back together since you've known him, right? And then they broke up again. When do you think they broke up the last time? Like 6, 7, 8 months ago? Or something?
No, it was way farther than that. Probably like a year and a half ago. So he's been living at that house until, I forget how long he's been back for, because time flies when you're working and stuff. So I would say at least 3 months he's been back for.
Okay, so he came back and...
He wasn't back for Thanksgiving. He was coming back for Thanksgiving. So he had to be back by at least Christmas. He moved 3 months ago. He moved back to Northport. So he was living there that whole time where they were no longer in a relationship.
Oh, well, was he the only one claiming they weren't in a relationship? Because how do you know that Jenn thought that?
That's what he said, that he was staying in a spare bedroom there. So
no, he was definitely fucking Jenn on the side.
Information I have. And he lives back at his parents. So that seems to me, he was staying, he moved there because they were getting back together.
Why was he back over at Jenn's house recently?
I guess her birthday. I can't think of, that was the reason that I thought, that I was told.
Well, I guess that's true. The birthday party was the night before.
Yeah.
So you guys would play Warhammer quite a bit, right?
Yeah, Warhammer, a couple tabletop card games like Magic the Gathering type of games.
Well, what's that other game that he's really into with that little sort of game toy that he plays with?
Oh, Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird. He's almost 40.
Yeah, it seems like something to sort of relate with children type of a game.
Yeah, but also he had a lot of weird stuff, like, his room, it was nerdy, he was a gamer, so he had a lot of weird stuff. Like Star Wars memorabilia, Tamagotchis, Nerf guns, things like that.
Even he pointed out that he had Tamagotchis. And he's like, yeah, the Star Wars is, yeah. But then he had Tamagotchis. I don't know what that was all about, but he had them. He had them, though. Yeah, see, I don't know.
Okay, so it did nothing set off alarm bells for you.
No, I just thought he was a nerdy guy,
I don't mean to ask again, but I want to really try to get this timeline thing because it's not really clear, okay? Yeah. And I think that's what people really want to get is the timeline. So let's try to, I'm going to just jot down notes. So back about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Where was he living then?
His parents.
Okay, parents. And then maybe after that, say where he went next.
So I guess like roughly a year later, then was back at Jenn's.
Okay, so then like 2 years ago, moved in with Jenn.
Yes.
Okay, and then how long were they together there until they broke up? I guess.
Within roughly 6 months while he was living there.
Okay, so about 6 months, they break up, and then where does he go after that?
His parents.
He's living there still, working at Disney.
Oh, he's still there. Shit.
Okay. Supposedly stayed in the guest room or something.
Oh, wow. Okay,
that's what I was told. That's what I was told.
All right, they broke up, but he still lived there. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
is
always
he?
thought that was really weird.
That is pretty strange.
Well, it's just
Yeah,
toxic.
why would you want to stay in a place if you guys no longer are in a relationship? But
Well,
No, that's just toxicity. That's you trying to still make it work. Ask me how I know.
now we might know the answer because he wanted to still be close to.
that's 100%. Yeah, that's what I feel like.
And do you think so? After they broke up, though, he's been there this whole time, living at that house, even up until.
Yes.
Okay.
Roughly 3-4 months ago, I would say around sometime in December, he moved back.
Okay.
Take,
Okay, so you're saying in 3 or 4 months ago, though, he moved back to his parents' house.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So tell me more about him. Did you ever see him? When he was talking about women or.
That's what I was gonna bring that up. There was a woman. We went out that night. I introduced some friends. We all hung out at a bar called Dean's, listened to some music. Like a older woman, a cougar, was 100% hitting on him. And he's single, so I was like, dude, you should grab up on that, man. Go get some. And he just was like, nah, not interested. And I just it made me turn my head a little bit. Like, what do you mean not interested? She was just looking for some, and if I was a single guy, why not? Who cares? And he was just not interested. And that always rattled my brain. Like, what? What do you mean not interested? Now I know why he wasn't interested. She wasn't in his age range. She was 50 years too young. And then also another thing he had said, I knew it was a lie why he was saying.
She was 50 years too young. He was like, go get the cougar, bro. Come on, stop. Go get her. What are you doing? Nah. I only like prepubescence, man. That shit is crazy. Go get you some. That's fucking hilarious. Wingman of the year, but you were wingman in the wrong person.
He's no good at lying. It was just he's telling us he had some girl from Disney, some spicy Latina. I was like, no, don't believe that for a second. So he definitely lied. That's a lie that I caught him in. I never said anything to him because, what, let him talk. Whatever, but I don't think that's true. Because why, if you're already broken up with this woman, why the heck would she be letting you bring random women to her house?
Right.
So it's just a lie. It was 100% a lie, just to look cool and maybe not seem normal.
And here's the thing: it might just be you that thinks that they broke up because he told you that, because she referred to him as her boyfriend. Saying. She didn't say ex-boyfriend when she was talking.
Yeah, but at the same time, he wasn't living there anymore for that reason.
Oh yeah, those last 3 months, right?
Yeah, so he wasn't living there for some reason. He moved back for some reason. So.
Yeah, so he left. So that kind of makes you wonder about that reason. What was the reason that made him move finally? And then now he's really desperate to get back there, and he comes back for a birthday, and then he kills Madeline the next that night, early in the morning, that same evening after the birthday.
Yeah, exactly. Also, when he came back, he lost a drastic amount of weight. Drastic. He looked sick. And I was like, dude, what happened? And then found out he got his Adderall dosage boosted, and he just wasn't eating, and I didn't know if he was abusing it. I know there was days he would take it, days he wouldn't take it. He would call off work some days. He was telling me, from Disney.
But see, what doesn't make sense in this entire thing is that she supposedly broke up with him, but then she's saying, we took her to school and we saw her go by the church, even though it was only him. But you notice how she says we so many times on the news? I don't know if you guys remember that. We dropped her off. We saw her rummage through her bag, and then it looked like she was going towards school when he dropped her. And then she fixes it, and she's like, when he dropped her off, But she's saying we a lot. And she's in his corner. That's the number one thing. She's seen on camera with the same man. I don't care if they're going out or not. They could be. Who cares? They're together after her daughter went missing, and everybody thinks it's him. She has something to do with it. Simple.
So I don't know if he was up all night, up all day, and then missing work, or if he chose to call out of work because he wanted to be with Madeline.
Maybe he was just really stressed out from being away from being able to control the situation.
Yeah.
And so he's drugging himself. Because if he was away, after he'd already assaulted Madeline multiple times over the years, then he has to leave for some reason. She may have kicked him out finally. And then he is paranoid the whole time he's gone.
I mean, if I was doing those kind of sick things, I'd be probably pretty nervous too.
Yeah, and then he comes back because he just can't let it go, or he's nervous that because he had sexual activity with Madeline that she might be pregnant and just can't let that be.
Well, I know they had contact when even he wasn't living there. Like, I remember him distinctly bringing that fact up, that she would text him and talk to him.
Oh, so they would communicate with each other.
Yeah, that's why it's like, did he groom her hard enough that she, like, loved him? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I really don't know, it's just speculation.
Yeah, well, law enforcement probably has access to those text messages.
Yeah.
Of course, he accidentally factory reset his phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So what else can you tell me about Stephan?
As in?
Well, just anything that you can think of now that you look back in hindsight.
I mean, I don't really know. I just always thought it was weird that, no one was ever allowed to his house. No one was ever allowed there. His mom bred poodles. I mean, the house was packed with dogs. I mean, massive amounts of dogs. I've been in his room one time, and it just seemed like a disorganized mess for someone who takes Adderall. So,
and so this was at the room at his mom's house, parents' house.
Yeah, his mom and dad's house. Yes. I don't know what happened to his vehicle because he was driving his dad's car. That's whose car that was his father's car, that Lincoln, the MKZ. Okay.
And so when you guys met, he met up with your other friends. They all thought he was pretty normal and cool and everything.
Yeah, like I didn't find out about this till yesterday around 3 or 4 o'clock. So, yeah, I was smoking a cigarette on my back porch, and I just was like, all right, let me look through some Google News. So I did, and I looked through the local, and then all of a sudden that picture popped up, and then it was like, oh, well, this is why I haven't heard from him in 2.5 weeks. He freaking killed somebody.
Yeah, so you and him you're gamers, and you would meet up every once in a while and play that Warhammer, right?
Well, Warhammer I stopped playing a little while ago, but we mostly played Lorcana, the card game by Disney, Digimon, and we played this other, like, samurai, like, war game that it's like a little deck of cards, and you guys verse each other,
Okay.
Yeah, that's some nerdy shit, man. If there's a super nerd around you guys, man, just make sure that he's actually a super nerd and not a fucking creep. Make sure he has kids in the family. That's a good way to know it by. Like, oh, he has kids? Oh, the kids seem healthy and not fucked over? Okay. He's probably normal. Oh, I can see his house. His house doesn't look like a dungeon. Okay, he's probably normal. Man, because damn. This guy gives me all the red flags. He's the guy, because I used to work at Target, and you can just see the PDF files that come in early in the morning. Like, you just know that they like children. You're over there early in the morning, shift started at 6, the store opens at 8. You're doing your thing, doing your thing. And as soon as the doors open, you see a creepy old man come through, 40s, 50s, maybe even 35. There's always the creepy old man that goes straight to the little card section and straight to the little kitty toy section. And they just look like wolves in sheep clothing. Facts. Because why the fuck are you getting that shit at 40? Go. I don't know, bro. But you gotta be careful. You definitely gotta be careful with people like this. And they love Target, by the way. They like Target.
And so you are probably somebody that he saw more often than other people recently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Stephan didn't have many friends. I never heard him talk about other friends, ever.
And so what would you guys do when you'd be hanging out recently? Just playing those games?
Play the card game, maybe smoke a joint or something. You know? That was about it.
And just have normal-ish
all the time.
conversations? Just kind of have normal conversations?
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normal stuff. I mean, he wouldn't eat every single time. Like, I've never seen him eat at any time when he came over except once. He had pizza. And that was it. One time. I've seen him eat one time in the past 3 years.
And would you go out to different places with him from time to time?
No, rarely. That was the first time I actually was like, you know what? Let me see if he wants to get... He was supposed to come to a concert with us in a few weeks, but not now.
Well, yeah. He's not going to a concert.
Yeah, no. But, no, I mean, that was the first time I ever introduced any of my friends to Stephan, or Stephan, or my friend,
And then his behavior that night seemed pretty normal. He was just chilling out, having drinks, and...
Yeah, he only had a couple beers. I mean, it was a pretty normal night.
But other than the fact that he passed up on, as you called her, a cougar trying to get him.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you, when you were sitting around going, oh, wow, yeah, what about this?
Yeah, mostly that cougar thing. The being, with the communication with the ex-girlfriend's daughter.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Wanting to go back to your ex's house to be at your ex-girlfriend's daughter's birthday seemed weird. Talking about how they had a real strong connection, that seems weird to me now.
Yes.
Also, the living there while they were, that always just seemed weird to me. But nothing ever came up about teenage girls or young children, ever. I would have never, ever suspected that. She already called the Kissimmee police department, too, because, the living there while they weren't together and them calling each other a couple seemed kind of weird to me, and kind of like, I don't know, is it a story?
Well, it is weird that she's saying that.
Did she know? Did she know they were doing stuff? And was the daughter going to get both of them in trouble?
I guess that's a weird part, is that if he left because they were broken up, and then she's still calling him boyfriend now, like she's saying we, and then he picked her up at was dropping her off at school, etc.
Yeah.
It's a little strange. You got I'll give you that. So are you getting that vibe? Because there's people out there that have that vibe. I'm not sure what I think about the mom. I think she's maybe has a little bit of a deficit there, and it's just kind of he's using her.
Using the word we and things like that have kind of like did she know? Did she allow this to happen?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what I was going to say. Everybody's looking back at that one interview, bro. That one interview where she's like, we this and we that and we everything. Ma'am, weren't you guys broken up? Or even at the very least, okay, you weren't broken up. That's your man. Didn't he say he went there on his own? Why is there a we attached to it?
Sometimes, though, these predators, though, they find somebody who has a child, and then they pick the one that they feel like they can manipulate, and maybe he manipulated.
That's what I was saying too.
And so he may just be manipulating the mother, Jenn, this whole time, knowing that what he's doing on the side, but making sure by his grooming tactics that Madeline isn't saying anything to her mother. So it's possible she has absolutely no clue, and she's also somebody that has a little bit of a deficit mentally there. When you called the police, were they pretty interested in what you had to say?
They have not contacted me back yet. So.
Oh. They probably have it all in the bag at this point. I mean, you're looking at, I guess they might want to know the why and what else is going on in the background. But he's got all that, the photographs and videos on his phone. And
oh, yeah, he's caught red-handed. I mean, they have pictures of it happening inside the house. So, that to me, that's freaking crazy.
Yeah, have you ever seen him when he's shaved? Or has he always had that
Yeah,
big
he
beard?
actually showed up shaved. Yes, he actually came back and he was shaven.
And when was this?
When he came back to live here, so 3-4 months ago. Yeah, he had no beard.
Oh, 3 months
Well,
ago. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he grew it back, and then he goes back there and commits the murders again. But he had the beard on the entire time prior to moving back, right?
Just about. He started growing it back. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.